All right. So we are going to begin covering ATP, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration. Now, I have it set that it is one big PowerPoint, but I'm going to upload it into three separate videos. That way, if you're particularly struggling with ATP or photosynthesis or cellular respiration, you have three different videos to watch. So that way, you don't have to watch the entire thing if you feel like you don't need it. So let's dive into it today. Now, what is chemical energy? So, energy is the ability to do work. Now, work is not just you getting up in the morning and you're going to your 8 to 5. Work is anything that you do that requires energy. Work can be you getting up and walking to school. Work is you going up and down the stairs every day. Anything that requires you to draw on your muscles to do something is considered work. Now, cells need energy to do biological work. So, examples of this, like I said, would be muscle movements to help you do walking, jumping, anything like that. Pumping blood. You are constantly pumping blood in your body. So that is another form of work that your body does, as well as active transport of waste from the cell. So if you are not producing that chemical energy you need, cell transport cannot happen. And we need that transport to be continuously moving throughout the cell. Now, energy comes in various types. It can come in the form of light, mechanical, or chemical energy. They're all forms of energy, but they're going to come from different parts of the world around them. So, all the energy on Earth originally comes from the sun. So, it can then be converted by plants into chemical energy. So, the chemical energy that is stored in the bonds of chemical compounds. So this is what allows the energy to be transported around the cell. So we're going to be moving things around the cell through cell transport to get the energy where we need it for the cell to be able to do work. Now, what is ATP? Now, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. So it is like the energy currency for cells because it can be transported from one location to another. So, for example, your carrier proteins in your phospholipid bilayer will require energy to move substances across the membrane. Now, the mitochondria can break down large molecules to make ATP. So, this ATP will then travel to the membrane to be used in small amounts by the carrier protein. So, I want you to think about it like this. Think of glucose, which is just your sugar molecule, like a $100 bill. Your $100 bill has a lot of value, but you can't use it in a vending machine to get a drink. The bill is too big. So it must be broken down into usable pieces, which would be $1 for the vending machine. So the ATP molecules are like the usable change from a large valuable glucose molecule. So think about it as, let's say you're eating a sandwich at home. Your sandwich is awesome, and that's going to be like your $100 bill. But your sandwich can't just float around in your body doing all these jobs that we need ATP to do. So your body is going to break down all the different pieces of your sandwich into those $1 bills to create energy to be able to do work all around your body. Now, the structure of ATP is that it has your adenine, which you can see over here. This is going to be your adenine structure. You're going to have your ribose structure, which is right here. This is where we talked about our pentose sugar, since you see the shape of a pentagon being displayed here. And then you have your three phosphate groups over here. See? 1, 2, 3. Your three phosphate groups. This is the chemical structure of what makes ATP. Now, how does the structure of ATP store and release energy? So, when the bond between the second and third phosphate groups are broken, energy is going to be released to be used by the cell. So, the resulting molecules are going to be your adenosine diphosphate, which is ADP, which has an independent phosphate attached to it. So when the second and third phosphate groups will bond together, the reverse reaction energy is stored. So you can see down here we have this loop that continues to occur. You'll have your ADP plus your independent phosphate group that will store energy. So once the energy is stored, it's going to form back into the ATP, which has the full 3-phosphate group. So once we have that, energy is going to be released. And through the energy releasing, that's where we're going to see the breakage of the phosphate groups to make our ADP plus the independent phosphate group. So that is just going to continue in a continuous loop of the ADP and the phosphate group. It's going to store the energy for ATP, which will be released, and then it's going to break again. It's just going to be a continuous science of this cycle to be coming together and breaking to create that energy. Now, how might cells use ATP? So they use it by responding to signals on the cell surface. It can create proteins from amino acids, and it will also help in the active transport of substances across the cell membrane, because energy is what we use to move things through active transport. Now, in summary, ATP is what stores chemical energy in the bonds between its 3-phosphate groups. Keep in mind 3, triphosphate. Now, when the last phosphate group is removed, the energy will be released from the bond to be used by the cell. So, ATP, you're going to have those 3-phosphate groups, but when it's released from the bond, that's when we're going to only have 2 phosphate groups that are attached, making it the adenosine diphosphate. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that short video lecture on ATP. I will have the photosynthesis and cellular respiration also posted for you to view. Thank you so much, guys.